Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What's happening, man? It is Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. That's right. That means we are live right here in Austin, Texas. And if you don't know Austin, Texas, you need to come down here and check it out. It's the #1 city in the #1 state and the #1 nation on the #1 planet in the universe. It's the place to be. Come hang out with us at Syndicate headquarters sometimes right here in Austin. But we are kicking it for Winning on Wednesday live, as always. Me and my good buddy right over there, the king of trucking insurance, the king of Facebook groups, the jolly ginger giant himself, Mr. Joe Camper. What's happening, dude?
And all the other names from Mason's post that he did the other day.
Blake Griffin's in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no, our freaking Todd called me Big Bird. I was like, damn, dude, savage, bro. Oh, good morning, though, everybody. What's up, Lily? Hey, shout out real quick. I want to actually take that before we get into the show, y'all. And again, I got the link to make sure and let StreamYard view your comments if you haven't already. I know most of y'all have, but I wanted to give a shout out to Lily. Lily is our behind the scenes producer. But as you guys can see, we have a new overlay of the show. So I wanted to give a huge shout out. You guys obviously have heard me talk a lot about Viva Virtual Solutions and just how we utilize them here within Redwood, obviously now on the Clarity side of things as well, and even here on the production media side of things. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to Viva Virtual Solutions and Rob Lopez and his entire team. They are the new official sponsors of Winning on Wednesday. We're super excited for that. And again, anything VAs, right? Especially right now, whether it's to help you kind of finish out how you're trying to, like for this year, right? For the end of 2023, or it's, hey, you know what? I'm gearing up and I want to be more prepared for 2024. I highly recommend you guys check out Viva. Again, I think we have 6 virtual assistants through them now. And I say virtual assistants, but they're team members and they're part of our business and they've really helped us take this thing to the next level. So shout out to Viva, shout out to Rob, shout out to Lily, who's working our comments, doing all of our YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to you guys and thank you for your sponsorship for Winning on Wednesday. Yes, with that being said, it's Thanksgiving, right? Maybe we shift the weekly win. Look, James is behind. Oh, shit, man, I was already prepping for a weekly win, and now maybe it's something that we're thankful for. What do you think about that, Tony? Want to do one thing that we're thankful for?
Absolutely.
All right. You want to kick us off?
Okay, fine. I am thankful for the opportunity to do something a little different this year for Thanksgiving. It's a bit of a tough Thanksgiving for us this year because it's the first one without mom and dad, right? I lost my parents, both of my parents pretty recently. So this is the first Thanksgiving without them. And we decided to do something a little different and change the twist. So we're getting out of town. My sister and I rented a cabin in the woods. So we're just going to go hide out in this cabin in the woods down on the Guadalupe, relax, kind of get off the reservation, so to speak. And I don't even know if we're cooking turkey. I think we're just going out to the cabin and we're pretty much just glamping, so to speak. So we are cooking steaks and sausage and some guacamole and chili and beans and cornbread and just kind of that kind of thing. We're taking a Western cowboy ranch approach to it, I guess you could say. But I'm thankful for that opportunity. I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to go and spend time with my sister and her husband and her family. And of course, my wife, Grace, in a nice, peaceful, quiet atmosphere and just appreciate that opportunity and kind of reflect on the time that I did have with my parents, and just grateful for the moments that I did have with them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I love that you get that. It's kind of what I wanted to talk about was I'm thankful for relationships and the ability to still kind of foster those. And that was honestly, Tony, you're part of that, man. What I'm thankful for is everybody that I have here in the office. And I know most of my guys are watching this. I can literally, it's kind of weird. It's like Inception. I can see me through Todd's computer screen right now. But Tony, I'm thankful for you, man. I'm thankful for our relationship and how involved you've been in my life, obviously on the business side, but also the personal side of things. And then shout out to my guys as well. You know, just right. Well, look, now he's playing my little violin too, but I really am, you know, and it's crazy to think, Tony, like we didn't even freaking know each other not too long ago. Right. And then here we are in the same office running this podcast. And then I think what we've been able to cultivate in the office has been really cool. Just the chemistry. And, you know, I know some people are like, you got to draw that line where you can't be friends. You got to be the boss and all that stuff. And I think we've just found that really cool operating space. But I'm thankful for the relationships. I'm thankful for you, Tony. And I'm thankful for my guys, Todd, Austin, Hanky. If you guys are watching this, shout out to you guys. I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful and I'm grateful. It's funny. Todd's even coming over. You talk about turkey, man. I'm hosting and cooking this year. So
yeah.
Go ahead and pray for me. But Todd apparently is some kind of master chef, so he's going to come help me like prep the turkey and stuff tonight. So
we're doing what he says. That's what he says. But
going the whole 9 yards. Yeah, we'll see. We're about to put him to the test.
But you're definitely correct, man. We have a nice little culture that we're growing up here. We're just getting started, my friend. You know that. So we got a ways to go.
That we do. Well, also speaking of relationships and people that I'm thankful of, you guys saw it when I put it in the description of what this guy's been able to achieve in a very short period of time, if we're being honest. And it's not just success in insurance. We're going to obviously focus on insurance and everything he's found, but we'll also talk about some other passions that he's got going as well. But without further ado, if you guys can, give a nice warm welcome, nice little hand clap, a nice little arm flex for my man, Mr. James Whitley. What's up, brother?
All the way from Okeechobee.
That's right. Good morning. Good morning, gents.
Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I am. If I were any better, I'd be twins.
Oh, I love it. You're looking great. It's certainly great to see you enjoying your time out there, relaxing for Thanksgiving. You chose to get away a little bit, I hear.
Yeah. So I guess I'm also thankful for the ability. This is my first time doing Thanksgiving. We've got a little ranch out here, and we're doing some glamping. I just needed to disconnect, get away from it all. So it's just my wife and my two boys. My parents live in Vero with us, so I see them. So I sent them to see my sister and nephew for the weekend, and we're here just spending time together, enjoying it. So
awesome. Well, it's definitely great to have you on the show. For those of you that don't know Jimmy Whitley, I call him Jimmy. He probably doesn't like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. He is easily one of the nicest, most genuine, and also most successful people that I've ever met in the insurance world. You've probably heard of him before, but for those that don't know who the hell you are, James, if you don't mind, just take a short moment and introduce yourself and just kind of let them know what you're up to.
Sure. And if I cut out or you guys miss me, I can, repeat anything. And as I told Joe earlier, just blame Elon Musk, because we didn't have internet out here for the past couple of years, and now we got Starlink, but it's not perfect. But like you said, James Whitley, I actually live in Vero Beach. It's about an hour east of here. I've been there for 14 years. I moved there for the insurance industry. I grew up in Orlando, just outside Orlando, a town called Winter Park. Grew up there, was probably a lot of the same stories most of us, right? My dad came from Kentucky and was the first person in his family to kind of go to college, and so he pushed that hard on me. So I worked hard in school, graduated, went to college, had a finance degree from University of Florida, go Gators, and graduated in 2008, and that was a pretty awful time to have a finance degree. For those old enough to remember, Joe probably doesn't, but it was not a great time. So my goal in life was always to move to New York and work on Wall Street, and Wall Street is my favorite movie. on, and it didn't work. And I moved back home, and I bounced around a couple different jobs and different things, and learned very quickly that when the economy is not good and when businesses aren't good, there's the bottom line's all they care about. And so I finally woke up one day and said, the next person that's going to fire me is going to be me. And I was very fortunate that one of my best friends in college, his name's Grant Doherty, a lot of y'all know him. His dad had been in insurance for at the time 30 years, and was talking about how business had never been better, that the recession was the greatest thing that ever happened to him and his business. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what commission really meant. I didn't understand all that. And he said he'd be happy to hire me. And I just needed a job. So I said yes, and moved down to Vero the next day. It was actually at the Magic Lakers finals, Joe. If you remember that, they came up, they had courtside seats, and his dad, and they invited me to go. And, I couldn't afford it. So I made up an excuse and said that, I was really busy working. And I met him beforehand for drinks because I knew his dad would buy me dinner. And that's when he explained that everybody was face to face, but he just felt that technology could play a role, and he wanted to figure this thing out. Nobody was selling over the phone back then. I had no interest in driving all over Florida and traffic and the heat and neighborhoods, and so I said, okay, that's something I could entertain. And so that's what we did. And his son Grant and we pioneered for Senior Life Services, for SLS, selling over the phone and trying to figure it out. And so we did it. We were in a little, storage closet he had in his office with a couple copper line phones and some splitters from what do they call that? So Radio Shack that we set up. Yep. And not to get too into the weeds, but most companies weren't doing it. And so we convinced at the time the main carrier we had a proprietary product for was Unity Financial. If anybody's been around, I have to remember them. They ended up merging with Columbian. But at the time, Unity let us sell over the phone. But the way we did it was I had to read the entire application, all the HIPAA, do all of this stuff. It was a 46-minute recording. And we would record it. And then we would burn each individual application onto a CD and use a Sharpie to then write on there the application number, all this stuff, fill out the application, put, C recording, put it all together, and FedEx it to Syracuse, New York. So you were talking about Viva and technology and the assistance. It's incredible to see how far technology has come just in the past 14 years even. But that was a sales process back then. And I was excited when we would make them. So.
That was 14 years ago that you were.
I started my.
Starlink.
It's all your fault, Elon. He'll be back with us momentarily.
Well, what's funny, what was I doing with CDs? Oh, he's back now. But James, what was I doing
July,
with CDs
July
at that
of 2009? Time? Yeah.
I was burning CDs for my friends out the parking lot, and I would put little money signs on them so I knew where my music was being distributed. I wasn't actually doing applications, and so that's freaking crazy, man. That's epic though. Gosh.
So even in 2009, final expense carriers weren't really allowing their product to be sold by phone?
No, at the time there was only one carrier that I knew of that was attempting it, and it's a similar name but no affiliation to us, and that was the only group that we knew that was doing it. And then by 2010, American Amicable had launched theirs, and so then we partnered with American Amicable, and the rest was it. So they're our main carrier. Okay. And so they had a much faster streamlined process they had been working on for some of their other groups. And I think Scott Riddle probably pioneered a lot of that, if I know correctly. Yep. And so they brought that to us, and then it was much easier from that standpoint. But there was that kind of first year window of that's what we were doing, and it was kind of crazy. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember 2005, and I think it was 2005. I was working with United Teacher Associates, which was mostly Medicare supplement, but we had to help develop a final expense product for them. And they too would not allow it to be sold over the phone. But we had built a relationship with a really good shop out of Buffalo. There was a small group of agents, and they only sold by phone. And this was 2005. This is their whole thing. And they were happy to do it through the mail. They were happy to do paper apps if they had to, but they only sold by phone. And they really, really, really wanted our product. And we had to go to, I guess, the compliance team, marketing team, whoever. We were the marketing team, but we had to talk to the execs and be like, look, these guys are going to write $1 million a year with us, no problem. But we got to get rid of that question on the app that says, have you met this person face to face or not? Or we have to allow them to say no and write an explanation. And they let us actually test pilot that. And so they were still doing the paper app because we didn't have e-apps back then. And they were allowed to, they were the only group that we had that was allowed to check that box. Nope, didn't see them face to face. And then they'd see it came in from Senior American. They'd be like, all right. So I don't know if you knew them at all. Senior American Insurance out of Buffalo. They were pretty big for a while, but they've all kind of gotten old and moved on in their days. But,
yeah, and I mean, at the time, I didn't know anybody. I was just, random kid that got licensed, and at the time, SLS was doing, I think, about 9 million annual, all face to face, and so it was all face to face carriers, and it was Unity, Columbian as the primary.
We'll say Grant's dad was definitely ahead of the curve. If in 2009 he was starting to see it. I mean, we were starting to see some of that in the Medicare supplement space right around that same time, where there were shops that were like, no, there's got to be a way to do this by phone. Got to be a way, whether we have to do it through the mail or a paper app or whatever we got to do. Guys were converting, and I was one of those guys that was converting PDF apps to fillable apps so we could type them in and then just fax them around or jet them around pretty quickly. And carriers were getting mad at us because they're saying, hey, no, you're altering the application. You can't do that.
Right.
Like, we didn't alter anything. We just made it so where it's legible. Like, you should be thanking us for the service that we're doing to make this app easily typable and legible so we can do it by phone better. But
and I think that's why he when he started his career, he'd been doing it he started in 77, I think. And he did everything back then. He was a one-man show. So he did long-term care, Medicare, health insurance and annuities and med subs and everything. So other, channels were getting it done. And so that's when he saw it. And at that point, he was intent on focusing entirely on final expense, which is what happened. And so he shut down all the other verticals, and that's all that we do now. By the time I joined, there was 3 guys left servicing local Florida clients for Medicare and stuff like that. So.
Right on. And then
question ahead, for you real quick, James. Because I think, dude, there's a lot of agents probably watching this that have had an amazing idea that just actually haven't executed on it. We talked about execution last week, Tony, or maybe that was the week before. I think it was last week. But James, my question to you is, you're brand new, right? You've never been around the insurance space. You don't know anybody that's doing what potentially this idea that you had that, oh, this is something I could probably get behind. What was the belief system? What was the mindset behind, hey, we're going to be like some of the first people to do this and not just do it right and try. Well, let's just try it out. It's like, no, like, we're going all in on this shit and we're going to make it work. And then obviously now the proof is in the pudding. But what was it that had you like, there's got to be something there that was like, man, we are going to figure this out and do this, even though and that's the crazy thing now. I think there's so much knowledge and so much information out there at people's fingertips, where you can go and access that anywhere, right? Where this is like, you're specifically saying, man, we knew nobody. We finally got one carrier that was even down to try it with us, right? What was kind of the mindset, again, the belief system that caused you all that, hey, you know what, we're going to go in, we're going to do this thing and implement it and execute?
I think honestly, and you guys probably hear me say, I mean, I'm not the only one that says this, but it was having a mentor who I wanted to be like, and who believed in me. And so I had this guy, Grant's dad, who he was so successful, right? And so, and like, I love being around him. He used to come up to Gainesville and he was the guy that would show up to the game day, and he was like the cool dad. And he would take us all out to like the nice steakhouse. And some of us weren't 21 yet. He'd sneak the martinis and the nice wine and all that stuff. And like, for him, that was nothing, right? And so like, I didn't grow like to see a guy drop that kind of money on dinner for his son's friends. Like, it was just like, man, this guy's like just so cool. And so there was that part
Got to get me some of that Starlink.
You guys there. My back?
Yeah,
back.
Yes, sir.
So I had, blame Elon, but I had a guy who believed in me, right? And so he was basically like, I know how to do 90% of this. The only thing I don't really know is that he goes, I can teach you how to sell. I can teach you the products. I can teach you I can teach you everything you need to know. And he had that, like, this isn't going to fail, And so it was the opportunity for him to say, hey, you guys can carve out this niche within this niche that I've already created and take it as far as you want to take it. And so to have somebody that believed in me, to have somebody that was going to support me, I never would have had the confidence to do it back then. I was overweight and unconfident and, all this stuff, but I had somebody that 100% said, hey, whatever it takes, we're going to make it work. And that for me was what it was like. And so, I try and do that for people now, but at the time it was just, I didn't have the confidence, but he did. And so every single day he would push us and drive us, and he would come, and role play and do all this stuff. And his passion and motivation at that point wasn't so much his success. It was to see his son and me succeed. And so then that was what was driving him to this day. I mean, I was on a Zoom call with him this morning, I mean, he's just so passionate about seeing other people succeed. And that I think was the biggest thing. So.
Sweet.
I love that.
You just mentioned when we were backstage, you mentioned that you just had your best, was it your best month ever?
That's exactly where I was going. I said, so what? So it worked out. So what was last month? We got to hear it.
Well, so we're on track to do 38 million this year. I mean, we're coming into the end of the month. Our goal was to break 35. We're going to do 38. It's been kind of just the momentum train this year. I think a lot of it was really understanding, a little bit of the history was, half of our agency for a long time was still face-to-face. By the time COVID happened, we had built up half telesales. There was still the face-to-face agents because that's all they knew. And so, if it's broke, don't fix it. And they just kept working and growing. And we made that transition, and that transition we made was the COVID transition, right? Hey, we're just going to throw everyone on the phones, and it'll just be a couple weeks, and that way everyone can make some money, and it'll all be cool. And obviously it wasn't a couple weeks, and so it took a little bit of us as kind of the leadership getting together and saying, okay, let's really all get aligned, get our goals aligned, get our messaging aligned, get our trainings aligned, and kind of do everything on the same, because we all get so busy. So sometimes I'm over here running this way, Justin's running this way, Henry's running this way, and so it was really us getting all on the same page and bringing our different talents and skills together. And that, I think, more than anything has really helped us stay consistent with it. And so we've grown faster this year than we ever have, and it's been pretty cool to watch. So
congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Well
That's freaking
deserved.
awesome. And it goes back to the people, right? Obviously, we've had Justin on the show. You guys have probably seen Justin Von Eigem. I always want to say his last name wrong, but man, like what that dude's been. And you guys, literally, if you don't follow him, go follow him on Facebook, because he posts his numbers. And what I love about Justin when he posts his numbers, I know they're 100% like truth. Like, yeah, this dude and his team are actually putting up these freaking numbers. But let's kind of segue to that, right? Because you talked about, hey, I had somebody believe in me. Right. And then I think, when you have somebody like that in your life, it's like almost a calling to, hey, man, I've got to be that for somebody else. Right. Or for more than just one person. Maybe I want to share this with everybody. Right. Because I just had one person that poured into me. Talk a little bit about that, about, I guess, sharing the opportunity, and then who you're sharing that opportunity with. Because again, I know we talked about it backstage, but hearing you speak about that from stage, I think it was at SWAT that time that you shared that, or maybe I can't remember. I see you at like all the events, but it was just super powerful, and it resonated with me because I think a lot of people don't get a chance. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that do get a chance and just burn that shit, and like they don't do anything with it, right? But I think there's also a lot of people that, because of life circumstances or experiences or things that they're going through, are not even given an at-bat. Right, where like they don't have anybody in their corner believing in them, and so just kind of let's talk a little bit. I want to stay here for a little bit and just share some of those stories, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, insurance is so unique. I think we get insurance agents, sometimes we get, categorized in the used car salesman category sometimes. And that, sometimes I think leads people to, we're not, I don't know how to say it. We don't just throw contracts out there. Right. And so that's a big difference, I think, for us and others. And so because of that, we're more selective on who, we're going to work with and who's going to work with us. But I have found that the most successful people, especially in this industry, no matter how many times you or Tony or whoever, get on stage and say, like, you've got to have a chip on your shoulder and you're going to have to work incredibly hard at this, and it can be unrewarding for a long time and it can beat you up. And so to find people that have their backs against the wall and have that dog in them and that mentality, that tends to be the formula for us a lot of times. And then secondly, that tends to be my passion. I've got some family history with depression and addiction. And so I grew up with it with my parents. My wife, struggled with some addiction stuff. And so seeing that, I like to help people anyways. And so that's a passion of mine outside of work, some things through our church and some different things like that. And so I tend to meet different people, because of that. And so two different scenarios, right? One with just the agent side. It's incredible when you take, I think for you to be really successful at this, we all have to have that addictive gene. It just depends what you're addicted to. Mine happens to be like food, cheese specifically tends to really do it for me. And so therefore, then I had to get addicted to going to the gym every morning. I do 5 a.m. club I've done it for my YouTube channel has it now, but it's not really a channel. It's just what I post for my agents. But every single day I film a video at 5 a.m. and I do that on my way to the gym or if I'm out here working or whatever. And I do that to motivate and inspire them. But also it's because I have to have that, those addictive genes have to fire for me. And so therefore finding other people to help. And so what I'm trying to say, I guess, big picture is finding people that are addicted to alcohol or drugs or have gotten in trouble in the past or whatever, and saying, hey, I can help you outside of work, but then also I can find something to replace that dopamine with, is a fascinating kind of puzzle that you can put together. Cause it's like, I know you were chasing that with the alcohol or the drugs or the gambling or whatever, but here's another one. You keep clicking this button and somebody's going to answer. And then if they sell, you just get this rush and things that are happening. Right. And then we can better your life and we can better the lives of people around you. I think is really cool. And so that tends to be my passion. I've got people in different stages. I've got a kid right now I'm working with who can sell 20,000 a week and then go 3 weeks where I can't even find him. He goes and gets an Airbnb and they say you can't overdose on weed, but if anybody can, this kid might, and that, and the alcohol and some of the other stuff. And then I got to like pull him back out of the hole. And so I'm trying to get him into, a more supportive system. There's a couple homes in town that are connected to our church that you can rent a room there and have the support system and have the accountability and have people that are holding you accountable. And that's worked a lot for a lot of agents. Or just say, hey, I'm not worried about you selling right now. We need to go to do some inpatient, or we need to go get therapy, or we need to go do something, because it's, it's the whole person theory. You see a lot of people talk about it, but it's like, you can't just teach somebody how to sell and make money and then hope you make money off of them. You got to teach them how to be a good person, how to take care of themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, be a good family person. All of those things tie in and then making you, a better agent from that standpoint.
So most people would just fire that person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, most people 100% would fire that guy for not showing up. They might give them the first couple of days, like, hey, look, what are you on a binge or somewhere? No problem. Get your ass back into the office. Get back on the phones, get back to selling and hitting your numbers. And then maybe the second time he does it, they're like, yeah, no, you're out.
Or if you're an independent agent, I'm not knocking the independent agent, but it's like, you don't, like, if you don't show up, you don't buy leads, you don't, like, no skin off their back, like, and then they have a good week and you celebrate them and cheer them. But we're a career agency, so it's like, if you're not on Zoom with us, or you're not in the office every day, like, I'm worried. Like, it's okay, you have the freedom, if you tell me you're going to be in New York for the week, or we got a guy that's in London having a family vacation.
And now a word from Starlink.
Dude, that should be like the title of this video when we post it on YouTube. Starlink sucks.
Yeah, sponsored by Starlink.
It'll probably pop. Yeah, we'll probably get the most views on it. That would be hilarious. No, but keep going. So you're saying there's a guy over in the UK, and
I'm saying, so, like, I mean, that's the beauty of insurance, right? You can do what you're for your family, which you never thought was possible. And so we celebrate that. But because of the way we're structured, if you don't show up and it's kind of unscheduled, meaning, like, I know there's some issues or whatever, then I'm going to reach out to you and I'm going to work with you and I'm going to try and make sure you're okay, because, people's goals are more than just financial, and so, sometimes they just need somebody to believe in them, and somebody to talk through them, and somebody to help them with that situation, whether it's a single mom or an addict, or, one of our best days, I tend to focus a lot on drugs and alcohol. So everyone then thinks I've got like 300, drug addicts, and, it's not. But even, a guy who, his wife cheated on him, and he was just broken as a person. And he just needed the will to, like, get up again in the morning, all this stuff. And so by coming in and finding that, and finding a family and people to support him and do all that stuff, he's now married and got 3 kids now, and he's happier than he's ever been. And I didn't meet his wife for him, but, like, we helped, get his confidence back and just become, somebody who could believe in themselves again. So
it's so freaking good, man, because I think it so taps into, like, just, we do business, like, we're in a people business, right? Everybody says that about insurance. We're in a people do business with people. And a lot of the times they apply that to the client side, right? Where, hey, we've got to be related. And they miss so much of it on this side of things, right? With your agents, or with your downline, or with your partners, whatever that might be. I love that passion, because to me, insurance, like, it's bigger than just insurance. And that's kind of why I rope it into the House of Dreams and everything, where, hey, or like your goals, like you said, not everybody's goals are financial goals, right? Like, not everybody's looking to, like, I need $1 million. It's like, hey, let's find what those personal goals are. And then, hey, because we have insurance, we've got the vehicle to be able to allow you to kind of tap into that. So I really love that. I think James are you still with us, James? I don't know if he is, but he's riding
the Starlink satellite for a minute.
Yeah. But I love that. And I hope anybody, listening, resonated with that, heard that, and heard his passion. Like you said, he doesn't have a bunch of, like, drug addicts up in his office. You don't do that with 38 million. But I love that passion for the people and everything, man. And how you give. I think it's giving back to your community too. What are agents doing to give back to their community? It's not just, I need to go give turkeys to everybody. It's, are you actually interacting and helping people within your community? I love that, man. I think that's a very powerful story. That's why.
And you make that reciprocal, right? I mean, you talk about even giving back to your community. Like, we do one of our charities near and dear to hearts called Unite Against Poverty, and it's an awesome. They're growing, at least in Florida. They might be other places, and their slogan is, "We give people a hand up, not a handout." And they've got a food share program and all this stuff, but they've also got a job training center, and my wife's helped out there, and I've helped out there, where they take people that are homeless and they teach them how to interview and how to have confidence, and they'll get them dressed appropriately and stuff. And we've hired some people from there, less so on the sales side, because there's a lot of work to be done there, but we've got, I think, 27 full-time currently, back office support staff, customer service, commissions and stuff. And so it's nice to give to a charity, but it's cool when it's there's a give and a take there. So they love then that we're a partner where they can place people for jobs, and we love trying to help them, because it also helps seniors in the market that we serve and stuff. So
your desire to create a culture like that, to where you're just to go back to the example you gave where you have a guy, he'll sell 20K in 1 week and then you can't find him for the next couple because he's crawled into a hole. Did that come from your mentor? Did he specifically tell you to behave in this manner and to treat people this way? Is that something that you learned just from watching how he interacted with people? Or is that something that you maybe picked up a little bit elsewhere from your own family history? So I know you kind of mentioned a few things.
Honestly, I probably a little bit of both, because he's got some cool success stories, especially because, you know, there was no Zoom or, you know, everything was come to the office every day, and he's got such a big heart. I mean, I'm in a way one of those, you know, projects for him, because it's like, you want to create this niche in your company. Like, there was Joe's and Tony's out there that he probably could have made offers to in 2009, and instead it was like, hey, I've got this guy who's you know, been a good friend of my son, and he's a good guy, and like that loyalty there. Like, I look back and I think, like, I ask him all the time, I'm like, what did you see in that, you know? And he, you know, and so it's pretty cool to see from there. And then, yeah, I think a lot how I was raised, because my parents were heavily involved in AA. And so I would always see them sponsoring people. And a lot of the people that were involved in my life, I didn't understand. They were very secretive of, but as I got older, I would realize, you know, that, you know, the guy that painted our house, they met at AA, and the guy that, you know, was on camping trips with me, like, was also in there. And so they all kind of had this community, and my dad to this day loves sponsoring people from there. So it's definitely inherited from that standpoint too.
Excellent. What was your first project like?
Person wise?
Yeah. When like the first time you're like, all right, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm not firing this person. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to give them the hand up, not the handout.
It's probably,
I'm going to choose to go down this path with people and start to create this type of culture.
Right. And it's probably the person that holds the most records and stuff for us at the company, you know, for a long time. And unfortunately they're currently not with us at the moment, but and I don't want to sound all right. Like the desire there was that this person was working at a call center doing tax stuff and everything. And we had hired a couple of people from there, and they said this individual can sell like none other, but there's a lot of problems there. And so she wanted to make more money. She came to us with the opportunity, and there was just a whole host of issues and stuff there. And she just didn't have family. And so while, yes, my desire to grow our team and the fact that she could sell was there, like, I knew that I couldn't just say if you don't show up and work, like, you're fine. Like, that wasn't going to work. And so it was, you know, first time she got a DUI and saying, okay, like, you know, let me help you. I ended up, you know, bailing her out of jail and showing up to court and being, you know, kind of the person to try and help her get off and all that stuff. And my wife was a prosecutor for a long time, so she didn't appreciate it because they knew my last name. And they was like, you know, does your wife know you're here right now? But it was that, like, thinking about it too. It's like, I had parents that would have done anything, cared about me, and this individual had nobody. And so it was like, they've got nobody. So someone's got to, you know, help this person. And at that point, standing in court that day, I was pretty sure they were going to lose their insurance license and all this stuff. So I was just, at that point, I'm there solely because I care about this person. Fortune was in our favor at that point, and she didn't get the felony, and we were able to keep it going and help her. And she was able to buy a house and do all these things. And that was super rewarding, you know, and for whatever reason, I can't put my finger on it, but I just kept finding people like it was. But as you know, a lot of people, a lot of times the people that apply they'll take any job, you know. Sure. And so, you know, they apply, like, just like place I was, it's like, okay, they don't realize that most insurance agents that are running ads for recruiting will hire everybody. You might say, like, one spot available, but, you know, you got a pulse, they're gonna, and you get a license, like they'll hire you. And so then you tend to get a lot of people that apply, that way too. And so it's different,
Yeah. Where do you draw the line? We're like, okay, no more help. You're fired.
Working on that still.
Isn't that the hard, dude? I was just talking about that yesterday too, man. It's like it's like I've always struggled with that of like, where do you draw the line, right? I think that's so difficult. And it's like what we were talking about when we opened the show, right? It's like, I'm thankful for our relationships and the culture that we have within this office. And then it's like, but then some of the stuff we're doing within this office, it's kind of like, okay, like we're having parties in here, we're doing this, we're doing like, but it's like, but we're also working and like, but like, I love that. But I think also for some people, it can be a double-edged sword because then it's like, hey, it turns out you're gone for a week or something with your family. And then you come back and the office is on fire. Right. I think that it's super difficult for me too, to where like, what is the actual line? And maybe, I don't know, maybe because we think about it so much, James, that's why it's hard to draw the line because of, and were you a yellow? I can't remember if you were a yellow or no, you got to be like red. A red, but yeah, you got to have look, that's a yellow in there though. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. And for me, it's more drawing the line and I'm working on it as my wife was walking behind the laptop here, rolling her eyes at me. Because it's more of drawing the line of like, do you really need to take that phone call Tuesday at 10 p.m. because they're just like freaking out again, and stuff like that. And it's tough for me. Right. Because again, I'm the addict too. Right. Like, so part of that is like, that's feeding that as well, because I'm like, I feed off of that desire to help people, but it's a dopamine hit in its own right. Right. And I'm self-aware of that though, but of trying to help that individual and feeling good when I do. So.
Well, there are worse things to be addicted to.
Right.
Right. 100%. And we're sitting here talking about
Justin,
right?
by the way, was not in that category. I know you brought up Justin, so I don't want him to be watching this and be like, I mean, he is an open, recovering addict, but he had figured that out long before. And so
long before he came on to SLS.
Right. And so to you asked that question too. And it's kind of like the relationship the three of us have, right? I mean, I know you two. Well, actually, you two is a similar story, right? I mean, friendships evolve. When you help somebody with something business related or personal without expecting anything in return, I think like this industry needs more of that, and there's not a lot of it. It's why I really enjoy spending time with the two of you all and doing stuff like that, because for a long time I didn't, because I had gotten so many bad experiences in the industry, and that's how Justin and I met. We met at 10X in 6 years ago. And we were in this 10X ambassador Facebook group. And so shout out to Facebook groups. And Justin, everyone that follows it knows, he's just I'm the opposite, right? You guys know I'm in all your groups. I read it all. And then I could like talk to Tony about it and be like, oh, I saw this guy. And he's like, but you've never posted or commented. I'm like, yeah, but I retain it all. I'm just the stock that scrolls. And Justin's the kid that posts all the time. And so he's posting all this stuff. He's running Facebook leads for like a car sales company or something like that. And he had just gotten his insurance license. So he's kind of all over the place. And he is, if you met him, same type of guy, gives you the shirt off of his back. And so I slid into his DMs, as he jokes now. And I was like, hey man, I see all the stuff you're posting. I'm in insurance. Like, I'm trying to figure out this Facebook thing. Seems like you really got it down. I'd be happy to pay you to take a look at my ads and all that stuff. And of course he wouldn't take any money. We jump on a call. We end up spending a couple hours. He like dials in my Facebook ads and does all this stuff. He finds out he's just getting his insurance license. He was with bankers or something at the time, going door to door. And so we just,
he's coming back.
Musk. There we go. All right. So we just became friends, right? And so it was similar to what you texted me about the other day, Joe, right? It was that same relation. It was just like, hey, I got this idea. What are your thoughts? And then he was like, hey, I don't want to keep driving. How does telesales work? And I was like, here's the playbook, because like this business is billions of dollars. I have no unrealistic expectation of selling $1 billion a year, right? So like 36 million is pretty cool. Like that was a goal, right? And if Justin was over here doing a couple million, great, because he was helping me, I was helping him. So for 2 years, that was our relationship. But he got messed up with some people that just gave contracts and didn't care and weren't there to support, and he didn't even know who to call or whatever. And he was really good at running a track this way. He could put money in, get money out, recruiting, lead gen, selling, all that stuff. But the structure and the support wasn't there. And so he was no different than me, right? I'm an incredible intrapreneur, probably wouldn't be a great entrepreneur, right? And that entrepreneur word's everyone tries to make it all sexy, but it's like, how many people legit started their own business? Not that many. I mean, I did, but it was inside of a already proven model and track record. And I'm so grateful that I did, because I'd rather take a couple percent of millions than 100% of nothing.
Shit.
Yeah. And so I was that same thing. Justin came, was like, chargebacks, all this stuff. Nobody's helping me. What do I do? And at that point, it just made sense. Like, hey, we work really well together. And that's, I'm assuming, what conversation you two had, right? It's the same thing. I was like, so let's just partner up, and like the things you do well, you keep doing, and I won't mess around with it anymore. The things that I do really well, I'll keep doing, and you don't mess around with it anymore. And that has created explosive growth for us, because it was a yin and yang that fit really well into what SOS was and what was doing. So two different concepts there, but if that's the same thing, it's relationship. I wasn't helping him get clean or sober, but I was helping him figure out these little things. He was helping me figure out these things. And I think that's the secret that so many people miss out on sometimes. So
I think we've been talking a lot about just what you're passionate about, right? What are we passionate about, right? And so I want to switch gears here for we'll say about the last 10 minutes here of the show, because I know another part of your passion, right, which you say entrepreneur, yeah. So then nobody knows that James is sitting here talking about the ranch that he's on. Yeah, it's a 330 acre ranch that I literally took a screenshot and I sent that to Tony, because I was just like, oh yeah, where's the ranch at? And he goes, oh, in Okeechobee or whatever, Florida. Nice 330 acres. And I was just like, this dude's a freaking baller, man. But talking about passion in the real estate side of things, right? And just all, and I kind of maybe talk a little bit about how you got into it, and then everything kind of that you're really, because again, I think real estate and insurance are very complementary of each other, even though they're completely different lanes. But it's when you typically, at least, I don't know, in my opinion, when I'm talking with a very successful insurance person, I'd say 95% of the time, they've got real estate. They're invested in, whether it's commercial or residential. So maybe share some of like, okay, this is how I got exposed or how I got into it. And then kind of just some of the stuff that you're doing on that side of things now.
For me, it was always a passion. I really enjoyed it. I don't currently have it active. I had a real estate license since I was in college. I had a minor in real estate, and my dad was a mortgage broker. And so he would work with a lot of developers. So I would just see these, like, that's the first time I realized, and no offense to anyone I went to college and I loved it. It was a great time, but the dad joke that I'll use today is it was the best education I ever had. It only got interrupted when I had to go to class. Meaning that like I wouldn't be able to come to 8% and hang out with you guys in the suite and just socialize with random people if I hadn't done that, because the fraternity and learning how to just talk to strangers all day, every day, and networking. And then, we had Rush and we had to recruit people to join. Like it all tied in perfectly.
Right.
Macroeconomics probably isn't a big help to my, life right now. But I figured out how to pass, and that was all that mattered. But I started to realize at that point, as my dad was doing this stuff, I was like, man, these guys that are developing these huge properties and doing all this stuff, like I'm trying to get a degree to manage their money. But all the guys that I'm learning from, like, there's no financial planner that I've ever met that I would trade places with, right? Like they're managing the rich people's money. And like, yet I'm trying to go to Wall Street to trade with their money and try and take my pennies. and so that was kind of that motivation, and I just loved working with my hands. I was kind of an engineering type kid. I was an Eagle Scout, so like that world just made
You're an
sense.
Eagle Scout too? I didn't know
Eagles, yeah. Still a big Boy Scout fan. Both these boys are going to be in it. I learned, I mean, just how to figure stuff out. You know, you put a side tangent. You put a 10-year-old kid in a tent and tell him he's got to like survive and cook for himself and do all that stuff. Like, I mean, I meet 25-year-olds that can't feed themselves. You know, so
Right.
you know, I learned a ton, tying ropes and or knots and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, and so then in college, instead of renting a place, I told my parents I wanted to buy a house, and if my dad would do it, I would do the sweat equity. And so even then, I never did anything by myself. Like my dad was a mortgage broker. He got the loan. He took a chance on me. The recession hurt us kind of in that deal. So I've always in my mind been paying him back, which is why I bought them a house and I support my parents now in retirement. But that was always my drive. Like I could just see it. Like I love the kid seeing
pretty good still image. I'm gonna send that one to him later.
We should all just freeze.
We should. That'd be funny. And then he thinks we're frozen. He'll be back here in a second, guys. Don't worry. I hope y'all are hearing this and finding value in it, man. James and just his heart and what he's really built, I think, within this insurance industry, man, is something special. And that's why I wanted to have him on too. It's funny. I texted him. We'll have him on again too when he's in his office and everything. He's got his wife. He's not on Starlink, but his story and just what he's been able to create. And again, in a short period of time, you know, when you think about the time frame of it, I mean, you're talking a little bit over 10 years into this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because he said, I guess he got started in 2009, but then even the telesales, I don't think he got going until like 2011, 2012 types. I mean, so it's like you're talking literally 10 years in. And then now what's really cool too is I think when you hear like those multi-million-dollar numbers, right? You're like, okay, how many agents do they have? How many people do they have? Literally, they're doing literally 38 million with under 300 freaking agents, right? And then that's just who's contracted. So then when you break down the 80-20, okay, who's actually writing business? Yeah. I mean, it's just freaking crazy impressive to me. And I just love that a lot of it is all just coming back from his passion for others, right? We were going to get into real estate, but we won't go ahead and keep you guys too much longer. I think, well, there he is. We'll let him wrap up with the real estate stuff. There he is.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
It actually kicked me out that time. If you want, I can summarize real quick. I mean, it was that's what got me passionate about it. And then, you know, it's the world of it's changed a little bit. But you know, 10X helped me see that from a bigger picture, right? Like going to conferences and stuff like that and getting around people has always been, you know, I always echo like Tony and you guys on that stuff too. So I've been to a lot of other ones. I go to real estate ones. I go to this stuff. I just meet people that are smarter than me and know this stuff. And so insurance is a very lucrative industry. And while if you love Lamborghinis and Rolexes and all this stuff, cool. I collect too. I just collect real estate, and like that's what I love to do, and it makes money. And so, you know, I find people that know what they're doing, but also see that I bring value. And so, for instance, like I've got a deal in Austin, right? I've got 16 apartments in Austin. I had never been to Austin when I decided to make that deal. I did enough research to know what Austin was becoming. And when I flew out to sign the papers, I came and hung out with you guys at.
Was that during Jeff Root's event?
You what?
Was that during Jeff Root's Digital Life Mastermind a couple of years ago?
No, I think that was just
so that was the first time I'd been to Austin, and my partner picked me up and drove me by a place that we were going to do, and we didn't end up doing it. But then the second time I came out, I signed the papers and came to y'all's meetup.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. The hang up.
Yeah. And so that's the confidence that I have. I can look at numbers. I can look at a proposal.
It is super inspirational. It really is. It's also inspiring me to not get Starlink too, but
right.
Yeah.
That's super inspirational, James. Hey, I mean, let's be honest though, you're probably out in the middle of freaking nowhere. So the fact that you even have like Wi-Fi is still pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it on cellular. So
right.
Yeah.
Do you out there in Okeechobee, do you have any problems with critters? You got alligators and pythons and shit coming up in your yard that you got to watch out for?
Yeah, we got some gators. It's mostly coyotes, wild boar, you know, and then a lot of snakes. There's rattlesnakes and coral snakes and cottonmouths and stuff. But it's fun. And
sounds like a great place to just let your kids run wild.
They do.
Yeah. So go Boy Scout.
I mean, come on, like you gotta grow up and learn and teach them how to defend themselves and shoot guns and all that stuff. So
right on.
Come on now.
I did want to ask you something on the topic of real estate real quick, because I wanted to know if I got this right or not. Because I have something that I heard, and I can't remember if I heard it directly from you or if I heard it from someone maybe talking on your behalf or if it's a rumor. But my understanding is that the real estate that you've acquired, you did it all with someone else's money. Is that correct? Okay, perfect. I'll take your silence as a yes. Oh, there you are. Did you catch Tony, that question?
No, you said or a rumor. So then fire the question.
I couldn't remember if it was. I don't know if I can, but I heard that you had collected the real estate that you've collected all with other people's money. Is that correct?
Not all. I do have skin in the game, but yes, hard money lenders is been very, very helpful in a lot of different things that we've done, including the Austin deal. And so you can, again, through networking and finding people, there's a lot of people that it's not as easy as some of these wholesale guys on may make it sound, but like if you meet people and you create good relationships and trust factors there, then you can certainly get, especially interest rates higher now. It's probably you certainly can do it through that way. A lot of people do. I've never done a syndication deal, which is different, right? That's getting a ton of people to put a little money in. I've never done that avenue of things, but it's easy to get it and then refi and then be able to pay an investor back and do all that stuff. And so it's just like what you said in the beginning. Maybe this ties it all together, right? It's like you got a great idea and you want to do it, but like, what are you going to do, right?
Yep.
So like, what do they say? Shoot, then aim, right?
Yeah,
that's definitely me.
Ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire. Exactly. Like that's my concept with everything. So,
right on. Well, man, it has definitely been a pleasure having you on. You were a super treat. If I wish I could spend more time with you, like you're one of those people that I found in this industry. I'm like, damn it. I wish I could just hang out with this dude on the regular, because I know I would learn a lot from you and just and really enjoy the relationship getting closer. But like you're in my opinion, I'm not just here trying to blow smoke up your ass. Like this is a truth about the industry. We all know what Zig Ziglar told us a long time ago, that if you help enough people get what they want, what they need, you're always going to get yours. Like that's a given. And you're a beautiful representation of that, dude. Like what you've created for the industry, for the industry, for these people that you've brought into the industry. Like you've done so much to help them and created this culture that allows people to thrive. And then, it's no shock you guys are doing $38 million. Like, give me a break.
Thanks. Right. And Rory was that same guy. He still is to this day. Like I said, it's, I always wonder, like, and I appreciate the compliment, but it's like, if I'm in my 70s and worth millions of dollars like he is, and his 60s, excuse me, then am I going to be on Zoom, like talking to a brand new agent, giving them advice? and like he still does that every Monday, and he knows all the numbers, and he knows who you are, and he knows and it's just, I see that, and I'm like, man, like it's just
right.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here. And so, yeah, a lot of that's me trying to give that back to him. So
sure.
Well, I think it was really cool. I know that it was big for you to basically retire your parents too and get them that, get them taken care of and everything. So I think that's, it just goes back to, hey, when you give, right, you get, and typically you get back more than what you give. And then it's like, now we're able to help that many more people. And then you just start this endless cycle, which is insurance is all cyclical, right? Which I love. And really, so go ahead and just close this out, James, of just how can people reach out? What's a good way for them? Hey, you know what? We want to book some time with James. Maybe not right now, guys. Wait for him to get back from the ranch. Or hey, he'd probably be like, you know what? Just go ahead and book some time with me. But James, go ahead and just let them know, if you're still with us here, just how can they reach out? What's the best way to contact?
As I joked, I am on Facebook and on Instagram, even though I don't post a whole lot. I'm on it every day. So, I'm just James Whitley on Facebook, friends with both these guys. If you're friends with them, you'll find me. And then James Whitley on Instagram. So I don't have any clever tag names or anything, but it's, if you message me on there or reach out, I respond. Joe doesn't text me. He messaged me on Facebook Messenger. So
I've been better. Well, actually, I just get a faster response when I text you. So
you do.
Like, right, I'll just text
up,
you.
Yeah.
Hey, I will also say, check out James's YouTube channel. It's just James Whitley. But he's got about 617 videos. They look like they're all short. And it looks like this is what you were talking about earlier, where you get up at 5 a.m, you get ready to go work out, you drop a video for some accountability and a little bit of motivation. So
yeah, I post that link. So it's SOS specific stuff, but it's public. And I post I post it in our group chat to our agents, every single morning. And again, it's that whole, no matter what life throws at me, sick, family stuff, whatever, if I get up and be consistent, and I try and be that, role model for everybody else. So
awesome. Well, thank you again, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been an outstanding show. I hope everybody has a phenomenal Thanksgiving out there. Be safe, be jolly, be grateful, number one, right? And enjoy your Thanksgiving. And as always, we will be here on Wednesday, every Wednesday, live at 9 a.m. So we'll see you next time.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And here's my challenge to you, because I really like this, right? And I think it kind of sums up the show perfectly, is that, it's not about giving a hand me out, right? But I challenge everybody to find that person, maybe just one person, right, in this thankful, grateful season, right? Just one person, right, to give a hand up to, right? Reach out, give them a hand up, even if it's just a text, even if it's just a call. I know it's something I've been kind of implementing within my youth group at church. Just like, hey, who's that one person? And I guarantee as soon as I just said that, y'all probably had somebody pop into your brain that, hey, just give them a call, right? Give them a little hand up, whether that's in business, whether that's an agent, whether that's in personal, family, whatever. That is my challenge to y'all. And again, I hope everybody has an amazing Thanksgiving. Thank you again, James. I hope you guys have an amazing Thanksgiving out there at the ranch, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.
Thank you, gents.